love go free. Rising up, rising up. Let love shine. Wash away all of your fears. Wipe away all of your tears. Love doesn't cause heartbreak and pain like people say. It's the enemies of love that get in the way.
Hey, it's the Mooney twin. Hey, Daryl and Dwayne coming at you again with some wealth secrets, man.
That's right. And we are the masters of passive income. In fact, we have a company called the Wealth Portal that teaches you how to do that.
Let it push away the enemies that would.
Hello there. Welcome to another special edition of the Let's Be Whole show. My name is Nina Womack, your co-host, a.k.a. Cleopatra J in the house. And we have the
Queen G,
Queen.
a.k.a. Shonta Gibson.
All right.
I'll do it backwards today.
And our other wonderful co-host,
Son, say Unity Now, a.k.a. Wait, I did that backwards. Hey. Monica Marsh, a.k.a. Son, say Unity Now.
All right. And today's show is The Road to Health and Wealth, how to get fit physically and financially. And we have two wonderful experts on the show today that we look forward to hearing from. First of all, former NFL champion, businessman, and philanthropist. This is really important on the Let's Be Whole show. Philanthropist, Mr. Bret Lockett. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
All right, amen. And also we have fitness trainer, the beautiful, stunning Venus Moore. So let's give her a round of applause.
All right, Venus.
Thank you so much, Nina. It's a pleasure to be here.
Amen. You guys, before we get started with Bret, interviewing Bret as well as Venus and covering some physical fitness tips, I just wanted to remind everybody how important it is to come together in unity to discuss the problems that are going on in in the United States right now.
Yes.
It's a lot of chaos. So if anybody wants to chime in on that, what are your thoughts?
I can start, I guess. Well, as you guys know, there were some social media videos that were released to the public. Well, when you do it on Facebook Live, it's live.
Yes.
So there were two murders, one in Louisiana this past week and also one in Minnesota. I went on Facebook Live this week to rant about how I'm almost 42 years old, and in all my years, I've never seen anyone take their last breath, and how devastating that was to view it and witness it for the first time on Facebook Live. And how each of us need to come together and try to, make a difference in the space that we're in, whether it be in your community, your home,
in your car,
each one reaching one, however it be, we need to. It shook up everyone. It shook everyone up. Whoever is a human being,
yes,
it touched them in some way or the other this past week. So I don't know if you can understand that I'm a product of the hood and all that stuff. I've never seen someone pant and take their last breaths, and that was just very disturbing. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that Mark Zuckerberg had said that the thing about Facebook is that it closes this social gap where we're all connected, so we can share things like that now publicly.
Right.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about it, Venus?
It was tragic. It was very tragic to watch. Both. I saw both of them. Yeah. One on YouTube and the other on Facebook. And it was shocking. And I really was hurt, to say the least, that the cops. Well, I'm not even going to get into it as far as with the police and everything, but it just seemed like they could have taken a different action in regards to what was going on. It didn't have to have that type of outcome where a life was taken. And I'm hoping that is something that is reviewed, and that is something that is not acceptable. Just because you hold a gun doesn't mean you have the right to take a life.
That's right.
And if you're so fearful if you're so fearful of that, then you shouldn't be carrying a weapon. And I think it crosses all color lines. It's not a white or black issue whatsoever. I think it's really a human. It's a human issue. No one deserves to be afraid just because officer is carrying a gun, that if they make a mistake or do something, that they may lose their life.
Exactly.
So I'm really hoping that because so much attention was placed on it with the way that it occurred, I'm hoping that that something happens, that a change takes place in a positive way, not the negative violence that you saw with the retaliation of cops being killed.
Oh man,
they didn't deserve to lose their life. They had nothing to do whatsoever with what took place. So that retaliation was not the proper form of action or recourse for what took place. So it's very interesting what's going on right now in America, and it's going to be very interesting as to what takes place from this point moving forward with things of that nature.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Bret, your thoughts?
I tend to agree with a lot of what Venus just said, and it's just an unfortunate situation that happened. I haven't followed it as closely as I'd like to. However, there's just been a lot of chaos really in the last 2 years when it comes to police engaging, African Americans inside of, inner city neighborhoods. And it just kind of goes back to the whole Rodney King situation, and looking back in history and watching history repeat itself. I think the difference between where we were then and where we are now is that we have social media. Thankfully, they did catch that on camera, but, now we catch everything on camera. And I think that's why the entire United States and the entire world has now become, understanding of the situation, and a lot of people aren't necessarily happy about it. I don't know where we're going to go from here. I hope that we can get a grasp on this just from a domestic perspective and a political perspective as we are going into this new presidential campaign. There's a lot of things in the air, and obviously I'm not here to get political, but obviously it's either Hillary it's either Hillary or Trump. And I know there's a huge problem with the way that things are being presented from the Republican side right now. So it's just an interesting way that we're leading into this campaign, opposed to where we were last time with Obama and Mitt Romney. So I'm really anxious to see what does happen, but it is something that is not tolerated and should not be tolerated, and you should not be fearful for yourself. And it was actually funny, someone sent me an app that's going around that allows you to notify when, like, a police officer pulls you over. It allows you to notify, someone like a family member that's close to you, so they know that you're in that situation. I just think that it is sad that we have to come to that point right now.
Yeah,
Extremely.
definitely. Son, your thoughts?
I'm outraged, and I think everyone should get outraged. This is not how we treat each other as human beings. And I think it's definitely a sign of the times, but this has brought awareness to people, people that are, that have their heads in the sand.
Exactly.
So this will show, and this is not a new thing.
Yeah.
I grew up in Detroit. This is not a new thing. And
go on, finish.
So I think more awareness. So people can come together and they can relate to each other on a humanistic level. I mean, we all have hearts; they all beat, and this is just unnecessary, uncalled for, and we should be outraged as human beings.
My very well said, and my 2 cents, you guys, just to chime in on that, is I am one for opening up situations and wanting to confront things, to discuss the problems, not in a negative way, but that we have. So I've known for so many years now that we really needed to have these type of race relation discussions. But I knew that nobody wanted to talk about it. I would talk about it, and a few others would, but nobody seemed to want to talk about it. So it seems like these type of incidences are finally getting us to a point where we can discuss what went on in the past, figure out how to put closure on it and to heal from it so we can move forward. We're not going to move forward by not discussing it, by just sweeping it under the closet and not being proactive in a healthy way. So, even though this is definitely tragic, I feel like this is something. Now is the time
Yes.
for us to really be honest and get all this stuff out so we can
Well, as
heal.
Bret mentioned, with this presidential election, things I think are going to get a little uglier, and that's why it's going to take people to really get centered and to get with themselves, their interior self, and who they are and what they're here to do. And I think we need to
Sure.
not to sound kumbaya, but yes, we need to join together, and so this kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore.
Well, I would say too that I believe that it gave some people who kind of sat back and let things roll off their back. It made them accountable, and step up to the plate on making a difference. Now there's marches going on.
Right.
Now there are people really outraged, ranting about it, speaking up about it, like the police officer who lost her job because she had an opinion about how disgusted that she was that her fellow officers murdered someone on, Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like it's a human issue to me.
It is.
It has nothing to do whether you're black, white, on the police force, a civilian, whatever you are. It's a human issue.
And the root of the issue is fear and anger management problems.
Right.
People do not know how to control their anger. They do not know how to control their fear.
Right.
And so you just act, in the heat of the moment and that's what that guy did. He just
in Dallas,
reacted.
you mean, right?
Yeah.
The police. I mean, the guy that
Shut
I think in
all
both
the
I'm
police
saying that,
officers.
I'm saying the Asian
everybody,
guy,
yeah.
and because of what's his name, Philandro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was just
literally
admitting
reaching for
about,
something. Yeah.
but he took it in his mind because of the past stigmas of fear of a black man,
Right, yes.
fear of a black
Fear
man, like,
mindset.
oh, he's going to attack me, so let me get him before he gets
First.
me. Yeah, let me get him first.
Right.
So we've got to discuss that. How do we get over the fear of the black man stigma and, and how we perceive each other
right.
as black people, as white people, and to understand that we're all human.
I think it just kind of goes back to the whole Freddie Gray situation. And when they interviewed Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and, he just quite frankly said, hey, if I'm walking down a street at night and the guy has a hood on, whether he's white or black, he could have tattoos on. If he looks sketchy, I'm going to be nervous and I'm probably going to, walk across the street. And I think the same goes for these police officers and dealing with, neighborhoods with high crime, high drug rate, high prostitution, and you're combating that day to day. It's a completely other lifestyle. So to be in that day to day and not be fearful, it would almost be unhuman to not, because if I was in that similar situation, I mean, I think we've all in here have seen Training Day, and if you're in that kind of situation, you're on edge 24/7.
Exactly.
As you should be.
As you should be,
Yes.
but there has to be a line of understanding, where, you got to draw the line. Murder is murder, period.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think we're all disgruntled and upset about is that it was straight murder.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
And that's the problem.
Yes, yes.
I agree.
I think with that comes a bit of awareness. And awareness. I mean, if you feel that you may be in danger, I lived in Detroit as well.
Did you?
Yeah. So
East side,
you
west
have
side.
West Side, Southfield, West Side as well, off Livernois and 8 Mile.
Okay.
So I'll just say, living in that type of city, there's a certain awareness that comes whenever you are moving around in the city. Even if you stop at a gas station, you have to look at your surroundings and the people and what they're doing. So I think the same is in regards to police officers.
Yes.
Be aware of your surroundings. Don't be so frightened just because you see someone with a hood that, you need to pull your gun. They may necessarily not be doing anything that they're not necessarily going to harm you, but just being aware so that you handle yourself appropriately and you don't take the wrong action, which is exactly what resulted this time with these two men losing their lives. And it didn't have to happen in that way whatsoever. Right. So it's just an awareness. I remember when I would have to get out the car, I would look at the guy sitting on the corner, I'd make eye contact with him. to let them know I'm not afraid of you. I'm gonna walk in this store and you're not gonna bother me. That's
right.
Okay, I'm gonna get what I need to do and come back outside and get in my car and leave. So it's a certain level that you have to, and a certain way that you carry yourself as well. And officers need to possess that. And there needs to be, I think, better screening done as well for those officers or those men and women choosing to be officers that want to carry a weapon where they could take someone's life. The screening needs to take place.
Yeah, and I think with training too, because they should, in my opinion, be taught how to assess a potential harmful situation. If I'm pulling someone over because of a traffic violation, the probability of them attacking me or shooting me is very, very low, so I don't have to be on defense.
Right.
If I'm going into a bank robbery, then I'm going to be,
Well,
that makes me think, causes me to question, maybe some of these police officers are they've been trained to be killers in our wars. They're coming back over. What kind of job are you going to get?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if it's about
point.
fear. I think it goes deeper than that, actually.
And I brought this point up on my social media this past week that a lot of it is they're on the streets all day and they're very aggressive because of what they have to deal with. So there's no turning it on and off.
Right.
It's kind of like, I'm just go handle everything, in an angry, manner. And that to me was his adrenaline.
Exactly.
Pumping through his blood, like, like,
yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't know. He didn't know how to turn it down. Not to decipher whether it was a regular traffic stop. The guy was telling him, "Hey, I have a license to carry."
Exactly.
He was telling him these things, but his adrenaline and all that or the police force, I believe, faces every single day.
No, you're right.
It didn't.
You're right.
He wasn't able to calm down and to make a sound decision. Yes,
because like you said, you have
what
this
to
like
do.
adrenaline. Like after this incident, I called my son to check up on him. He's 23 years old, and I just wanted to see how he was doing mentally and his thoughts about it. And so he was like, well, Mom, just like last month, he was with his best friend, and his best friend got locked out of his mother's car. So they were trying to figure out how to get into the car, and the police happened to be driving by, so they stopped because they thought these were some young black males trying to maybe breaking and entering into a car. So my son said the officer was black, and he got out and was like, "Put your hands up where I can see you." He pulled a gun on him, and he kept saying, I'll kill you if you don't put your hands up where I can see him. I'll kill." That's all he said the whole time. And my son and his best friend was trying, "Look, Mom, this is my mom's car, and we just locked the key," But he was so pumped up. All he kept, my son was like, they were so fearful for their life because all he kept saying is, I'll kill you, put your hands.
I mean, how can well, what kind of training is that?
I know.
We already get that. Right? I'll kill you.
I'll kill you.
That's
I met some
scary.
young men yesterday, and I asked them what did they feel about the uproar that's going on, and they told me, well, we're just trying to figure out how to stay off the streets and not go anywhere. And that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah,
like no one should have to be
More fear.
alienated or not be able to walk out on their own street because they're young African American and men.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's really sad. That was his answer. So.
All right. Well, we've got to get to our show topic. We did want to take a minute and talk about that, and we send our prayers and our positive energy to everybody who is hurting out here. Please, let's continue to just love one another. Love one another. So let's start off with Bret. Bret Lockett is a star athlete, successful businessman, recording artist, and what I love, philanthropist. Widely recognized for his 3 seasons in the NFL with the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. A native Californian, Lockett excelled in high school entering the NFL, and he's an entrepreneur, an athlete who has his hands in real estate, technology, aviation, social media, and most recently, music. He's a humanitarian as well who has started the Looking Forward Foundation, his nonprofit organization, which encourages young people to stay out of trouble, finish school and become productive members of society. Oh, thank you. Thank you for being
thank you.
here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So tell us a little bit about how you got your start, where you wanted to get involved in sports. Like, how did that come about?
That just was my parents.
Your parents
They pushed me very early. I was 4 years old and playing soccer and t-ball and basketball, and it just every season was a different sport from 4 years old to when I can remember. And as I got older and got into high school, I started eliminating different sports, figuring out, okay, which sport did I want to play collegiately.
Awesome. And my son's father, he played for USC for a while, and so he got my son into football since he was a kid and track and field, and that really instilled some important values in my son that I don't think I really thank his dad for getting him involved in sports for that reason.
And discipline too, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Discipline, yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's very important for kids, especially at a young age, to get into something that's structured fundamentally, because it teaches them it really just creates a fundamental foundation to understand how to work, how to win, how to lose, because life is a lot of losses. I mean, I could tell you that firsthand, but a lot of people don't know how to lose, but how to lose and then get back up and keep moving forward, which is, I think, all life is about.
Ooh.
You learned some.
Whoa, that was deep.
Some disappointments early on. We researched with one of his football friends.
What happened? Tell
his
us.
One of his football friends kind of made it to the NFL before he did, and then you guys were in competition a lot in high school or something like that, battling. It was, let me look it up.
Oh, well, I'm like, what's she talking about? Putting me on blast.
I gotta look up his friend's name, but it was a friend in high school. You guys were like rivals or something. And
Will Harris.
Yes.
Will Harris.
Yeah, we dig a little deep. I may not have gotten all of it right. I'm known for that.
Yeah, we got to talk about how.
Yes.
How we met.
Let me tell. Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. You guys, I was at an event. It was at a nightclub, and we were there doing some photography work. And I saw Mr. Bret. He walked up. His publicist approached us and said, "Hey, this guy over here is Bret Lockett." Da da da. I had no idea who he was or what he does for a living or any of that stuff. But the publicist did let me know that he was NFL and what team he played for and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, babe, come over, bring the camera, let's get an interview on this man. And so I stand there. I absolutely know nothing about football, okay? Nothing. So I'm talking, I'm like, what's the name of this club? And I'm stumbling in the interview, and it was just so hilarious. I said, just always remember, Bret, when we deal with each other later on, that I couldn't remember the club, okay? This is our language.
What is this?
I know what it's called now. It's called the airliner.
Right.
But that particular moment, I had no idea about football. So I'm like, don't you think you want to get into sports announcing later on or something? Or that could be your path. I'm asking random questions because I don't know nothing about tackling, nothing about, what position this man may be playing for. I'm bad.
Random questions. It was
I'm
funny.
not the football wife that understands it. You know what I mean?
It's okay. I can say that I've had worse. So you're okay.
I know. I'm sure you've had quite a few experiences.
Oh my God! And he was so sweet. He was like, "Oh no, it's okay. Don't trip." I didn't release that interview, by the way. I just kind of, waited for this day.
Maybe chop and edit that part out. Yeah.
Well, you guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break and then get back into Bret. But I want to play a song by our featured creator, Ricardo Love. And this particular song is called Rise in Love. And this is by Jack Neek, produced by Ricardo Love.
Nice.
Rise in Love.
Rise in love, rise in love. Let your love go free. Rise in love, rise in love. Let love shine. Rise in love, rise in love. Let your love go free. Rise in love, say it's the enemies of love that get in the way. Things like jealousy and mischief, envy and strife. Those are the things that cast love aside. So don't blame love, it brings only joy. Let it push away the enemies that would destroy. Let love shine, wash away all your fears. Wipe away all your tears. Rise and love, let your love go free. Let your love go free. Rise and love, let love shine. Rise and love, let your love go free. Let your love go free. Rise and love, let love shine. It's your time to rise. It's your time to rise. It's your time to fly. It's your time to fly higher still. Keep reaching for the stars. Keep reaching. They're coming down to you. Magic's in your hands. The answer is in you. Rise in love, you got to rise in love, yeah. Rise in love, rise in love, rise.
Did she see how the other ones go?
Rise in love.
Beautiful. Rise in love. Isn't that amazing? We need that, right?
Yes,
Rise
we do.
in love. That was by the fabulous Jacnique, and that's Jacnique. She's the artist, and it was produced by Ricardo Love, and we'll talk to him later on through the segment. So back to Bret. So did you have some questions for him before I...
Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask, I guess, you were drafted at a certain point. No. Okay.
I wasn't drafted.
See, I'm the same way I was at the interview at the club.
It's okay. We're figuring it out. Baby steps. Baby steps. Gotta crawl before we can walk.
It's him. See, it's him
Is he making
with all
nervous?
these muscles. Something. Look, no. But explain to us, once you got drafted, what's the misconceptions?
The misconceptions, I guess. I think it's shown on TV and on the radio to be glamorous and
Right.
and everybody gets a chance to play, but it's really a very small majority of people who went to college that play football in college that get to make it to the NFL. So there's a draft of 7 rounds with 32 people picked in each round. So I didn't get drafted through that process, but what I did get was a tryout to try out for a team. And that's what the agent is for, is to direct you on which team you should try out for based on, who was drafted, who was picked up, because it's all a business at the end of the day. And that's what I think most college kids don't understand when they get to that next level. It is a business. There is, marketing, there is, business admin, you have a 401k. It is a business. And they treat it like as such. So understanding that when you do walk into a locker room that you're just another number, and really you should only be focused on you. As bad as that sounds, even though it is a team sport, the only thing you could really focus on is you, because you may be there one day and you'll be gone the next day.
What was your number?
That quick. I had a few numbers. I was 38 my rookie year, then I changed to 26, and then on the Jets I was 42.
All right.
So were you a team member but inactive at certain points?
So, yes. So when you become injured, so my first year I played all 12 games. We have 16. I played up to week 12, and I ended up tearing my groin.
Right.
So
I read
once that
yeah.
happens, they put you on something called injured reserve, to where you can't play, but they still pay you for the remainder of the year. So there's a few different inactives that you can be on. So there's only 53 players that can play at one point in time on an active roster in the NFL.
Was there anything else you wanted to do outside of playing football when you were younger?
No.
Your aspiration?
No, I my parents put me in sports right away, and I didn't know what I was going to play professionally. I just knew that I was going to play something. It was going to be basketball, football, baseball, something. And as the older I got, I started saying, okay, well, I'm a little bit better in football than basketball. I wasn't as tall as I'd like to be, and we didn't have any really tall guys, so I was playing center at 6'2", and I was like, well, this probably isn't going to work because I'm not tall enough to really play center in the NBA. So just phased out a few things. I ran track and ended having really bad shin splints my junior year in high school, so I said I'm not going to run track my senior year. And I didn't really know how good I was until I ended up going to some Nike camps and going into my senior year as a junior. Went to a few Nike camps that summer, and this is when the NCAA allowed college coaches to actually attend these camps. Now they don't, because college coaches are talking to the players and they just feel that there's a lot of shady things going on. So they don't allow college coaches to actually go to these camps anymore unless it's for the school. But back then, I mean, we had 50 coaches at the camp, and this was my first camp, and I didn't know how good I was until I went to this camp, and I ended up doing very well. And a week later, I had a scholarship from Arizona University, and that's when it just all kind of just took off.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked you that is because, the fact that you are a businessman too, which I want to get into shortly. But a friend of mine is a wealthy entrepreneur, and so he had some kind of program he got involved with where he would go into the minority school system and talk to the kids about career strategies and to encourage entrepreneurship. And so he said that it was a challenge for him because most of the young black males, they only want to do sports. He couldn't get them to see past that their only option is to get into sports. So I just wanted to get your take on that, because you did get, but now you're in business.
Right.
So, and you've had injuries, so what do you feel? Can you
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're a product of your environment. And I think that's the biggest issue when, because I run into that as well. I do a lot of guest speaking. I do a lot of motivational speaking. And anytime you are dealing with children who are primarily from African-American community, the only thing that they see is sports because it's idolized. Sports and music. That unfortunately, music and sports in this country is really the pinnacle for African-Americans. And it's an unfortunate thing. I don't think that there's anything wrong with being a LeBron James or Michael Jordan or, a Michael Vick. But at the end of the day, that's all we point our attention to. It's sports first and then education second. And it's backwards. And it even goes into the college system, because when you go to a college or a university, they say you're a student athlete, but you're really an athlete student, because your majors are solely based on when your practice is. So if you, for instance, there's a kid that I've coached from when he was maybe in 8th grade, and now he's coming out into the NFL. And, he was with the Baltimore Ravens. They cut him, and he's back at home right now, and he's trying to figure out what the next step is. So he's reached out to me, and he's like, if you know anyone that can help me, let me know. But he has a sociology degree. Okay, he wanted to major in business. However, his classes for business were during the same time that football practice was. So they said he could not major in business. So if he does not play in the NFL, this young man now has a sociology degree instead of a business degree.
Wow.
It's a big problem.
It is.
It's a huge problem in America, and that's why most of these athletes, when they get done playing, they don't know what to do afterwards, because they don't know anything but sports. And that's the unfortunate thing.
Exactly.
How did you push past your injuries? Like, how did you mentally push past that? We've been talking about empowerment mentally, spiritually, and physically. So how did you work through that time of injuries?
As an athlete, you understand that there's always ups and downs. I broke my arm my last game against USC in college. I still have a plate with 6 screws in my arm. Right after that, I had to go into training, and I trained with a cast on for about 8 weeks.
Wow.
When you play sports, you understand that it doesn't matter what happens. All that matters is that you keep going. Right, you keep going and you keep pushing past it. Right, and the decision that I made to leave the NFL was after I pushed through it time and time again, in surgery and getting getting cut and not playing for a year and then having to go play in Las Vegas in a team in a league that's really under the NFL, but it gave me my chance to get back to the NFL. So going that route, I just decided that I was tired of not having control of my own life and leaving that control in somebody else's hands. Because you can control how hard you work and your attitude, but after so many injuries, excuse me, after going through coaches, I mean, these guys get drafted, and when you get drafted, these people have already invested money in you. So your opportunities as someone who hasn't been drafted is a lot less because they have nothing invested in you. So there is, priorities and, politics when it does come to sports. People say there isn't, but there's politics on every single level. If I've put $100,000 into this kid, I want to make sure this kid plays. And if he's just as good as this other person, or he may be somewhat close to him, I'm going to put him in first. And there was a lot of that I saw after, my time with the Patriots, and not everybody plays fair. So I said, I'm tired of letting somebody else control my life, and I'm just gonna do this for myself. And that's when I decided to step away.
Awesome. Real quick, we're gonna get back to Bret and then talk to Venus, but I do want to bring on our featured creator, Ricardo Love. He is a conscious, positive music producer. Ricardo, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Ricardo, you guys, is, like I said, a very talented music producer. He produces a lot of conscious spoken word music, and so we heard Jack Neek, and we'll hear some more of his songs throughout the day. And he also will be creating music for the Let's Be Whole show on an ongoing basis, right?
Thank you.
Ricardo, what's going on? Any new albums in the works or anything that you're working on?
Well, there's a couple independent art. I'm getting an echo, so let me see if I can mute this real quick.
Okay.
There's a couple independent artists that I'm working with. One is Black Nova. He's this guy named K out of the area. That's going to be released soon. The guy that does the Poetry House. I've been doing poetry since way back before the what's the poetry movie? Poetry.
With Janet Jackson.
That's the one before that. But anyway, before Love Jones, way before Love Jones. We were
Wasn't Janet Jackson in
I know.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That's real laughter here in the studio.
Go on, Ricardo.
The music, the movie Love Jones, that's when a lot of people start getting into spoken word. And we were doing it way before that. It was an art form. I played in a lot of poetry houses behind poets. And I really got into the message. When the message in music was going down, the poetry was raising the vibe higher. So that's when I really got into producing poetry albums. And ironically, they don't make a lot of money. The only time you really sell CDs is if you do a feature in a poetry house and you sell, you sell CDs physically in hand after you move to people. But even though it wasn't very profitable, it still touched my heart. So I produced a lot of that kind of stuff. So we do something called Swim, which is spoken word art and music, every first and third Friday on Crenshaw. And the guy that does that is D Poet, and I'm doing his album. This is the third album I've done for him. I've done so many Los Angeles poets and so many Bay Area poets. If you want to see him, you can go to Poetic Life by Love on YouTube, and there's a plethora of artists there that are doing poetry over my music.
Well, we're gonna. Hello.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to wrap it up, but I just wanted to have you come on air just to acknowledge you, because in a world of music producers that have artists that have lyrics that are not uplifting to humanity, you are one who has spent so many years creating positive music for poets out here as well as singers. It's always been positive. Your name is Ricardo Love. That's his birth name for a reason. He's all about love and spreading the love. So you are a conscious producer and a perfect fit for the Let's Be Whole show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where can they find you, Ricardo, on your SoundCloud?
Reverb Nation at Ricardo, what is it? Our Love.
Our Love.
/Our Love. Reverb Nation /Our Love. And on SoundCloud, it's Ricardo Love Media on SoundCloud.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Ricardo. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Okay, great. Okay, so back to Bret.
I have a question for him. I don't know if this is inappropriate or what, but I want to bring something up.
Let me prepare let me brace myself over here. Hold on. You got some more water over there?
It was an accusation. He was accused of messing around with Kim Kardashian. Can you talk about that a little bit? Kim is kind of big in the entertainment world, so
She is. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into details, but
okay.
But I'm not sure where you got your sources from or what you read, but
right.
We did talk for a short stint.
I said accusation. That's
Yes,
why I started it out with that for a reason.
Mm-hmm. She's like, now I'm making sure of this one.
Right. So you guys had phone conversations?
It's just phone conversations,
okay.
Yeah.
How did it get to where they were trying to accuse you of cheat? Like
I have no
cheating
clue.
with her,
no
doing
clue.
physical. Like
I
wow,
thought that was crazy. It was probably one of the craziest days of my life.
Right.
Yes,
that's crazy.
definitely.
Okay, I just had to throw that in there before we get business and fitness.
She's
in
like,
the
I
mix.
gotta get this gossip here before we
I got something right, Brett? I asked something that was.
I think I needed to sell.
We do want to talk.
magazines.
Let's get down to what we want to talk about, which is physical fitness. Because as we know, there's so many of us in the U.S. that suffer from obesity, and it's killing us. We've got cancers and high blood pressures and everything.
Yes.
So what can you tell us to help us get on our way? Because you look amazing, fantastic.
Thank you. It's my parents, so just I'm blessed. Honestly, and not everybody's as blessed as me. I literally eat whatever I want, and I lose weight.
Wow.
It's just that I'm
you are
young.
blessed.
I have a very fast metabolism. That's just how my body structure is. But not everyone is that same way. And it really just comes down to your diet. That's the biggest thing. Your diet, and then obviously working out. But you have to have the diet opposed to just working out. If you work out and you don't have the diet, that's where you run into issues. I just believe everything's in moderation. It's okay to have cakes. It's okay to have the pancakes on the weekend and the desserts. I love sweets. So it's okay to have that. But if you're going to have that 80% of the time, then you're going to run into some health issues, point blank, period.
Right.
So it's not as much about as how much you eat opposed to what you eat.
Agreed. Yes.
And Venus can attest to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, Venus, let's
Very
hear you
true.
chime in.
Okay, I'm a bit like Bret here. I have a high metabolism. I've always been able to kind of eat what I want and still look fit and still be in great shape. But that can be a bit of a downside too, because you're not as mindful about your nutrition because of that. Nutrition is key in order to getting a certain result and looking a certain way. And again, it's all about the foods that you eat. It is your diet. 80% of it is your diet. So if you're working out in the gym, how many of you have seen people working out in the gym? They're working out, months go by and they still look the same.
I've seen that.
Yeah. They're not eating right.
I've been one of those.
Right.
Put it like that. I'm being real here.
Yes. Because people truly do not understand that it doesn't matter how long you work out in the gym. If you're not eating right, your body is going to reflect that.
Right.
If you want to get amazing results, if you want to look good, you really have to change up your diet. Basically, removing all the bad foods.
For instance,
fried foods, white starches, which I like, white potatoes, white rice, breads, cakes, cookies, things of that nature. All the white starches, white salts, white sugars, they're all refined, which means there's no nutritional value left in them whatsoever. Yeah, so you're just putting on weight by consuming those things. Fried foods, processed foods, anything in a box, on the shelf. Right? I tell my
keeps
clients,
it simple.
stay out the center aisles.
But
okay?
Venus,
there's nothing good
that's
there.
everything.
I love. It's not everything.
I'm just in my world is everything.
You got to stay on the outside of the grocery store.
Okay.
Don't go down the aisles.
Meats are on this side, the veggies are on this side. Typically, everything in the center.
I need y'all two to walk with me to my next grocery store visit.
And look, I do that. I do that for my clients. I go absolutely, because a lot of people are uninformed about the proper foods to eat. They really are clueless, and it's really not their fault. It's generational. They're really going off what they've been taught, what they've seen their moms and dads cook, and the foods that they grew up on. So they really never truly understood the concept of eating correctly. So they think they can still eat those foods and look a certain way, but then again, you have all these health issues, a lot of which can be completely removed if they just eat right. The high blood pressure, diabetes, all can be controlled through your diet. And that's something I'm very passionate about, is teaching that to my clients and other people so they understand. You can really change your mindset.
Oh, yeah.
Change your mindset. Discipline yourself in regards to the foods that you eat. Make your body a temple. And make your health a priority.
Nice.
Make your health a priority, number one, because we're not getting any younger. We're getting older, and we only have one body, so we have to take care of it. So if you're going to put Gucci shoes on your feet, you're going to drive a Porsche, you know what I'm saying? Your body is no different. Exactly. You want to put the best nutrition in your body. Absolutely. So eating the fried foods, the greasy foods, the processed foods. Some things are, and like Bret said, moderation. You can have the cakes, the cookies, the ice cream, the fried chicken, the soul food. I love soul food. I know how to cook it. I don't eat it anymore, though, because most people eat for their taste buds. Okay, you've become accustomed to eating a certain type of way, so that's what your body kind of craves. But once you really discipline yourself, you remove those foods from your diet, you start eating clean, your taste buds start to change. Literally, I cannot eat a McDonald's French fry now without tasting the grease. I taste the grease immediately in fried chicken. So if holidays, I don't worry, because I'm only going to have one plate, because that's all my body can take at this point. Because now I've been conditioned enough to where my body doesn't want it. It basically rejects it. So what that tells me is that my body never wanted it to begin with. That's right. But as long as you feed it to your body, as long as you, that's all that's going to keep craving it. So you have to change your mindset to stop.
Well, our household in particular, we have our big thing was soda.
Yes. Oh my God.
We stopped.
Please.
We stopped purchasing soda for our home, and we just buy water.
You have to. It's just sugar.
That's a big thing. And today I came in here and Amber said, "You look like you lost weight." It's just the small things, like
simple things, simple tweaks that you'd be amazed. That's why when you take those things out your diet, you start eating clean, then you put good nutrition on top of that, you start losing weight immediately, because you're not eating the bad foods.
So you feel better.
You feel better. You have more energy because you're not clogging up your body. Hydration is huge. Water. You know how often people do not drink water.
We're 80% water.
We are 80% water. Hold on. Here's a tip. If you get to the point where you're thirsty, your body is already dehydrated.
Oh, wow.
That's exactly right, and I can tell you that firsthand from football.
Already dehydrated. Exactly. Go ahead, drink up. Exactly. That's what I tell my clients.
Making me nervous.
Drink up, because it's life. Water is life, and your body needs it in order to function properly. Like your kidneys need to be able to flush the toxins out on a regular basis. So mind you, if you're not drinking water consistently, your body is filled. It's not processing things the way it's supposed to. Things are supposed to come in and go out. Come in and go out. If that's not happening, and if your body is not consistent, then that's a sign that there's a problem.
Mine was definitely trapping those sodas.
Yes.
It was just staying right on me.
It's sugar. It's simply sugar, and it's weight. It's truly and then not just the sodas, fruit juices. They're full of sugar. Full of sugar. Look, pick up a label. I teach my clients read labels. It's so important to know what you're putting in your body. Because half the time what you think is okay is not.
What's considered a high sugar amount? Like how many grams?
I honestly don't like to go over 10 grams of sugar. I'm at 5.
Okay.
5 is
Wow.
5 grams
And
sugar.
that's hard.
Yeah.
Because sugar's in everything.
It is.
It
but
is.
Your body really doesn't want it. Though.
Yeah, it
That's
does.
what I'm trying to say.
It's going to be the poison of the future.
It absolutely is.
Well, what you said, Venus, is so true, and I just have to repeat it.
Yes.
Is that it's all a mindset.
Absolutely a mindset.
I started, I'm approaching 50, so I
Yes.
just recently put on 25 pounds that
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I've got to get rid of them because I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And I am taking herbs, and I started recently changing my eating habits, but the difference is before I would diet because I wanted to look good and get skinny to fit in these jeans. Now I literally want to be healthy.
There you go.
So when I eat food, I'm asking myself for the first time ever, is this nutritious for my body? Is this something that I can extract from this that is going to fuel my body instead of poisoning it with sugars and flours and stuff like that? I don't want cancer. I don't want high blood pressure.
That's right.
I don't want to follow in the same footsteps that I saw my elders do, that I see other people do.
Yes.
I refuse. So now I'm conscious of what am I eating that is giving me vitamin A or vitamin C or, iron.
Right.
So,
You made a key word. You said diet. You said diet. It's not about a diet. It's a healthy, active lifestyle.
Yeah.
Healthy, active lifestyle. That is exactly what I teach. It's not just for the moment. Because guess what? If you do it just for the moment, that weight's going to come back.
Exactly.
The weight's going to come back.
Exactly.
So I teach people I teach all my clients proper eating habits so that they know the proper foods to eat. Not just the proper foods to eat, but how to prepare them also. Because you can prepare and eat clean food just as good as the bad food that you love so much. The clean food can taste just as amazing. You just have to know how to prepare it.
Right.
Yes, and then once you do that on a consistent basis, your body, you'd be amazed how your body just starts to respond. Your skin gets clear, your nails start growing, your hair starts growing, you have more energy. You feel alive because your body is finally responding. Your body doesn't want 20 extra pounds on it.
Right.
Trust. But if you're constantly eating that food, you're putting weight on. So you have to really discipline yourself to say, hey, I know these foods are bad for me. And then in moderation, wean yourself off of them. But just knowing overall, if you keep eating those types of foods, they're only doing a disservice to your body.
That's right.
And
There's nothing good that's going to come from it.
certain seasonings too, right?
Absolutely, certain seasonings.
Because seasoned salt, like that stuff we need to
pink
stay
Himalayan
away
salt.
from.
Strictly use pink Himalayan salt. It's natural, and you only have to use a small amount, and it will season your food and give it amazing flavor.
And then natural herbs.
Natural
and
herbs.
Like there's a lot of different things that you can use
the
as
only ones on the
alternatives.
market that I use are Mrs. Dash and Mrs. Dash, and I don't even use those in a large amount. Food itself tastes amazing. I mean, you can saute bell peppers and onions and all types of wonderful vegetables to give your food flavor, where you don't have to put the artificial seasonings on top. It tastes just as good. Sweet potatoes taste amazing.
Exactly.
Blue agave syrup as a sweetener on it. I mean, there's so many different things that you can that are natural, that are good for your body, that process cleanly through your system, that you can consume, that aren't going to do a disservice to you, and that are going to make you healthy overall.
I have to share this too.
Yes.
I always would love to get the salted pistachios, right? So I went to the store. I went to the grocery store to buy my healthy snacks and accidentally picked up the no salted pistachios. So I'm like, I bought the wrong kind. And I said, let me try this though. And I ate it. And it was better than the salted ones because I could taste the actual pistachio, the flavor, instead of the salt. Before I just wanted the salt. Now I could taste the actual flavor of the
same with same with ketchups and some salad dressing.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me, why don't you like dressing or things? I really like the raw. I like to taste the flavor of stuff instead of drowning it with all these.
Or just squeeze a little lemon.
You want to taste your food. And I don't do dairy. I'm really big on dairy. Cutting dairy out your diet is huge. You'd be amazed how your body doesn't want it. The milk, only almond milk, soy milk. Those are the options that I go for if I'm going to consume. If I need something of that nature, but like butter, I don't do ice cream.
So what does the dairy do to your body?
It's very difficult for your body to break it down. Very difficult for it to break it down and move it through your system. High in sugar as well. You'll get bloated. Constipation comes from it. So I really cut back on those things completely. Like low fat mozzarella cheese. That's the only cheese I use, or feta. So those are great options. Like all those
No
other ones
wonder
are kind of processed.
she looking lean sitting over here. Her legs all nice and cut up, and you know, woo!
You guys, we gotta take
Nothing but the clean stuff in the system.
and back to some more fitness tips, but I want to take a quick break, and then we will get back with the show. So let's go to our next song by Ricardo Love. This is called "Wide Open," and it's by the artist is Cayenne. Wide Open.
I want you to love me, open wide. I want you to love me, open wide. Love me, open wide, like blue skies, third eyes, alternative lifestyles. Love me, open, like the wind. No beginning, no end, just there. Permanently pre-existing, never-ending love. I want you to need me like breathing. Love me, open wide. Like the result of my every exhale is your inhale. Need me strong, like impossible to break this bond. Need me strong, like every moment spent apart is too long. Need me like I am your truth. Love me, open wide. I want you to love me, open wide. I want you to love me, open wide.
All right. Wide open, you guys. Wide open with Cayenne. That was a little warm.
Right. I need to fall in love after that one.
That was getting intense. Husband, where you at?
Produced by Ricardo Love. So, you guys, thanks again for tuning in on the Let's Be Whole show. Our topic is how to get healthy, both and wealthy. Yes. We're here with former NFL player Bret Lockett and fitness trainer Venus Moore, who was giving us some fabulous fitness tips. What did you just say about meal prep?
We were speaking about eating on the go. If eating on the go is going to be something that is part of your lifestyle, because it is for a lot of people, you want to designate certain days throughout the week where you prep your meals in advance. Mm-hmm. So you go to the store, of course, get all the proper meal foods and things that you need. Now, there's ways, honestly, where you can prepare everything all at once. So I'll give you a little quick tip. So say if you're going to cook your protein, like your chicken or fish, you can put that, season it up, put it in the oven, a good maybe 20, 30 minutes that it might need to cook. At the same time, you can prepare your vegetables as well. Cut them up as far as like asparagus, broccoli. I love sweet potatoes. That can go in the oven. Everything go in the oven at the same time and cook at the same temperature of 350, but at different times. Mm-hmm. And you're removing them out at different times. Like the sweet potatoes that have to cook a little longer, maybe like 45 minutes. But your proteins and veggies will come out a little sooner. And now you have all your food. It's all prepared. Within an hour, you're done. People think, oh, clean eating takes forever. No, it doesn't. It just takes a little time, a little differently than you normally prepare your food. Now, Now you have your proteins, you have your veggies, you have your complex carbs as well. Now you just plate them up basically in little containers, and you put them in the fridge. Now you're ready to go. Get you a nice little cooler case. Okay, when you're on the go, grab your meals, take them with you in the car. Now you're not, tempted to stop at McDonald's and grab a value
Great
meal.
suggestion, especially
some
with your
potato
family
chips.
on the go for
Right.
the kids.
Always
have some
traveling.
healthy food.
Traveling.
That and saving money.
And it saves money. It saves
Exactly.
so much money.
Exactly.
And here's another tip. If it costs $1, why are you going to eat that and put it in your body? There's a reason why it's $1. As far as like those sandwiches and stuff, like the dollar menu at the fast food places.
Oh my God.
This burger costs $1, but
She
this
calling
salad
us
costs
out
$5.
over here.
Yeah, I want to change mindsets today.
Exactly.
Truly,
Amen.
about what you're putting in your body, because you can truly change so much just with little, small, consistent efforts over time.
Exactly.
It'll give you a great result.
Yes,
But you just have to really discipline yourself to do it. It takes 21 to 30 days to form a habit. 21 to 30 days to form a habit. Discipline yourself to do that, get over that threshold, and then you're on your way to clean eating and losing weight and changing your lifestyle and changing your habits, changing your eating habits. That's all it takes. Your body's going to thank you for it. This is a good direction. There's no downside to a healthy, active lifestyle.
Amen. Amen.
Let's go.
Venus, where can people get in contact with you if they want it?
Body by Venus at yahoo.com. That's my email address. I'm on Instagram at Body by Venus. Facebook, I'm Venus Moore.
Awesome.
Yes.
So moving into segueing from the health part,
Yes.
now we
Wealthy
want to
part.
get to the wealth part.
Everybody, I want to make some money now.
Yes. And it's so important because we can't be unhealthy and be wealthy and expect to live life and live it more abundantly.
Certainly.
So we are called to live life and live it more abundantly, and we must do things that are going to make that a
Yes.
reality. So let's talk about your business, how you got off into being an entrepreneur.
Honestly, it was, remember I said earlier, you're a product of your environment. And when I was playing for the Patriots, I started going to New York City. And I would, go on trips. And the first time I was there, I remember I was just there hanging out and partying. And I was out till maybe like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Whoa.
But
I remember those days.
yeah, you remember those days? Yeah, right? She's like, oh, yeah. But, I had 3 meetings set up the next day, and I was meeting people in the club and, out at these lounges, and they're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I do this. Let's see if we can do something together. And that's when I got into, modeling, and then got into music a little bit later. And it really just opened my eyes to understanding how people are on the East Coast opposed to how people are on the West Coast. And it's very, very different.
How?
So you got to understand, New York was really the first hub for all of, that's not necessarily civilization, but the whole East Coast, right? So everybody there has built something, whether it's a business, whether it's an empire, whatever it is, right? They've built it, and everybody's kind of moved further west from there, right? And if you look at everybody in California, we're all worker bees. We're taught, especially in the African American community, we're taught, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get good grades, get a degree, and then get a good job.
Yes.
Right? But 2016 is completely different, right? More and more college kids are coming out of school and can't get a job.
That's
Very
right.
true.
Right? And we're taught to work for somebody else opposed to being taught to work for yourself. And look at how to create businesses for yourself, profitable businesses for yourself where you can hire other people. And that's what I started to learn when I started going to New York, is these people don't work for people. These people own their businesses.
That's right.
And it was mostly, and not to talk about race, but it was mostly the Jewish community. And when you really understand how they go about building businesses and building wealth in their family, it's not just the sons, but it's been the grandfather, it's been the son, and now it's the grandson. I used to hang out with this kid, and I thought he was, he looked young, but I thought he was like 23. I was like 25, 26 at the time, so I thought he was around 22, 23. And I've been hanging out with him for probably a year, and I find out this kid is 18. And he was out with me, out and about, and very smart kid. His grandfather owns Manhattan. He owns a car dealership in Manhattan, right? And he's obviously running that. And I didn't know
Wow.
that. I didn't know that. He's 18.
Yeah.
But this is what
Awesome.
they've taught, and this is where
Raised
I
up.
feel like we're behind as a culture, and then also as
Agreed.
in California, is that we don't teach our kids to be business owners. We teach our kids to go learn from somebody else. We don't say, go learn for yourself, go research, go look and see if this is actually right. The stuff that they're teaching you in school, go look it up on the internet, because now we got the internet. Go look it up and see if it's actually right. And then go ask your teacher questions. Don't accept what they're telling you. And that's, I think, what college is for. Right? And that's
Should be. Yes.
Right? Is to not accept what they're giving you, is to research it for yourself and find the real true answers.
Yeah, we're not
Exactly.
learning how to learn.
Right.
We're learning how to attest or something.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly. And that was the biggest difference when I started going to New York opposed to being here. Because if I would have stayed in California, I'd probably be, in no disrespect to you, but I'd be a personal trainer because that's what I loved.
Right.
That's the only thing I knew, and that's what I loved, was working out and football.
the best.
No, it's great. Don't get me wrong. It's great. It is great. And you can be an entrepreneur as well in your business as a personal trainer.
Yes.
You know, and I actually work with a lot of them. So I know, but we are taught to work for other people, not to work for ourselves here.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a
We're
huge
going to hear from comedian Dwayne Mooney pretty soon, too, about wealth building. But that was one thing when I was reading your bio and studying about you that I was fascinated, is how you diversified. My godmother she has her degree in economics, and she's been very successful, and she's told me for quite some years now to diversify whatever you do. She said, Nina, it's about creating multiple income streams. I come from a background of being an actress. I have my degree in theater, as well as I'm a filmmaker. So she would tell me, I'm not saying don't act, but I'm just saying go outside of the scope of just depending on acting and figure out other multiple income streams you can create for yourself. And that was one of the best pieces of advice.
Yeah, no, they all kind of feed each other, though, too. I mean, this is, kind of like acting, and you're in radio, and you're a promoter, and you've got plenty of things going on.
In
but
the
they all-
arts, multiple income streams in the arts, but
Right. I mean, it just kind of goes back to, when you look at philosophers. What is philosophy? Philosophy is the study of all things. Back in, almost, hundreds of years ago, you were an artist, you were a sculptor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
philosopher,
true. Okay.
right?
Paul Robeson, attorney.
Right.
He was like,
you would do multiple things, and now they tell you, you should only focus on one thing, which is, it's almost impossible in this day and age to only do one thing. And it just kind of goes back to, building a proper financial plan, is you diversify in your portfolio.
Absolutely.
Right.
You can't have everything in stocks or everything in bonds, right? You have to diversify across the board in case something does happen, like a 2008.
Yes.
Right? Are you going to be okay if something like that happens again? Right? Did you only have a 401k, and was your 401k all the way in the market? Right? If you had an IRA, it's about being diversified across the board. And I think it just hits back on training and eating right.
Absolutely.
Right? Diversification.
Yes.
It's okay. Moderation.
Yes.
A little bit of everything, but you need to have the goal. If you can create 3 streams of income, you're going to be doing very well.
Yes.
If you can create more,
wow.
even better. But
So at least 3.
the goal is, if you do 2, that's great. But the goal is to have about 3.
And if you're accomplished in those areas, it's game over.
Right.
Truly.
Right.
Yes.
Based
Yeah.
on,
What
I'm sorry, Nina. Based on his theory, I was going to say that you're a philanthropist. Based on his theory of what, because of all the different, fields that you're operating in, and you operate in them fully. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to choose this one or pick, like, you operate in all the things.
Well, because of what you said, like I just walked to my own drum, because all my friends were like, Nina, some of my well-meaning friends, like, you should just focus on acting and then blow up that way. Then you can get off into directing and producing and stuff. And I was like, no, like, my spirit told me, learn all this stuff. It may take you a little longer, but learn all these skills. And so because I've done that over the past 20 years, now I'm at a point where all those skills have culminated into, now I know what I'm doing in all these areas. If I had just focused on acting for 20 years and then became successful as an actor, then my goal to direct or to produce, then I have to learn that, and that's another 10 years. Or
Right.
it's
Right.
just like,
Well, I see it as student teacher, and you've been a student for so long, but now you're master. Now you're at master level, so you know what to do.
Right.
What were you gonna say, Brett?
And that's just, it's interesting that you were saying everyone was telling you what to do. And I'm very conscious on who I allow in my life to tell me what to do, because I always look at what this person has done that's giving me the information. Because if you're telling me what to do and you're not successful, I'm not listening to you at all. And I think there's too many people out there, especially nowadays. You go on YouTube and there's 20 million people talking about, you know, different topics, and it's like who to listen to, and it is kind of hard because it's chaos. It's complete chaos. And how do you find, you know, calmness in chaos is doing the proper research, but also looking at the credentials behind the person who's talking.
That's right.
And I never take advice from somebody that's not successful in their own right to whatever it is that I'm, whatever industry I'm looking at.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Now, my question is, did you just take some money and be like, okay, I'm going to invest here and I'm going to invest there? Like, how did this come about to have all these different...
So that's how it started. I got money to play with. Okay, let me throw some money here, and then
you gotta have the money first.
No, you don't.
I'm just kidding.
You do not.
I'm just kidding.
You do want to have money to invest. You do need money to invest, but you need to understand what you're investing in. You need to understand how to invest as a entrepreneur and as a business person. Right? It's called an MBA for a reason, Master of Business Administration. You have to master that, and that's the problem why a lot of people get burned in business is because they don't understand it. And business is very complex, and I've been doing it for, you know, about 5 years, but it's still very complex. You know, they say you're not a master in something until you've done it for about 5 years straight for 8 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
You know, how many people work on their craft 8 hours a day, 5 years straight? I mean, you may work on it for an hour or two, and then you're on to something else, right? So that's why you don't see, you know, most successful people in their industry until maybe 12 to 15 years of doing that same thing.
Yeah, on that note, let's bring in wealth expert and conscious comedian Dwayne Mooney. Dwayne, are you there?
I am here.
Hey, how are you?
Fine.
Okay, let me read Dwayne's bio, you guys those of you who aren't familiar. This is one of the Mooney twins, and his dad was Paul Mooney, the famous comedian. The Mooney twins are health educators, motivational speakers, comedians, and self-help advocates. They've been into holistic health and human potential movement for over 20 years. They first received their recognition as the roles in Kenny Ray and Benny Ray in The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh in '79. You guys remember that? That was one of my favorite movies. You might have been a little too young for that. Their other camera credits include decades of appearances and interviews on BET, UPN, WB, Showtime, and more. They are known for conscious comedy as well as wealth building, and they also embody what Let's Be Whole stands for: how to integrate yourself, mind, body, and soul. I love these twins. So let's say hi to Dwayne Mooney. Hey, Dwayne.
Hi, Dwayne.
How are you? So your favorite film was The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. Who you love the best, Benny Ray or Kenny Ray?
Which one did you play?
That was a safe answer.
I love both of you guys. You guys are hilarious. That was one of my favorite movies.
Wasn't it? A lot of people loved that film. It was a great spiritual, metaphysical, astrology-filled
Yes,
movie.
it was.
Very positive.
Yes,
in fact,
it was.
You know, a lot of things happened in the NBA because of that film. They never wore those type of jerseys. They never played music before the game. They never did a lot of things that the Fish started. So it was fantastic.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
So talk to us about wealth and how we can get it together.
Well, as you know, the first thing you want to do is have the mindset of becoming wealthy. You have to believe that you can be wealthy. So we call this the prosperity mindset or the prosperous mindset, where you understand that you are wealth. You affirm it, you act like it, you walk like it. And it has nothing to do with money. It has to do with consciousness. That's why when you see rich folk, when they lose their money, the ones with a prosperous mindset, will get it back in 2 years. Because they know that they are not broke. Their money has just not got to them yet.
That's right.
That's a different perspective. When you don't have any money in your pocket, you are not broke. You just have not figured out a way to create the abundance that you need in your life. And for a lifetime, you can strive to do that. And if you don't have a penny for your whole life, you still have wealth because you have the proper mindset. And that means what happens is, in reality, you're already wealthy. You are breathing. You have a limb. You have a heart. If you're in optimum health, you have true wealth. And what we want to help people do is understand the mindset. And once they have the mindset, I'm talking about what I do is always get around people that are doing better than me. Because you can look at somebody and see who their 5 best friends are. And if they're broke, guess what? You're broke.
You're 6. That's so true.
Okay? So you want to start getting around people that have wealth or that have a wealth mindset. Because when you start doing that, that energy, that vibration starts coming off on you. All I do is hang around wealthy friends. When I borrow money, I don't want to have to pay it back.
Do you agree, Bret, that you...
I absolutely agree. Completely across the board. Everything he said is absolutely correct.
To hang around like-minded.
I tend to keep a different spectrum. I agree of having, those mentors and people that are above you, but I also agree on having, I kind of split it a third, and a third. So 33% of people that are underneath you, 33% of people who are on the same level, and 33% of people who are above you. It just gives you perspective and allows you not to get big-headed, to stay humble, right, and remember where you came from.
Yeah. Yes. Also, it's kind of like give back.
He must be a Christian.
It's so funny, Dwayne. So, Dwayne, let's not get off into religion and Christianity, but I do want to touch base about we have been instilled in us that money is the root of all evil, which is coming from the Bible and so forth. So how do we get out of that mindset of feeling like that it's evil?
In the Bible, there's a lot of positive things in there, too. And it goes deep, too. I mean, even in the Bible, when they talk about, how when they brought down Jesus, well, people don't understand why they really brought him down. Because he was messing with the government's money.
That's right. In the temple, didn't he turn over the tables?
He went in there and went off and went crazy and turned over the tables. That's when they said, no, he got to go. As long as he was up there doing a little thing and walking on water and making people see and entertaining the poor. But when he messed with that money...
Yes. Then it became a problem.
Oh, yeah.
He had to go. He had to go.
You got and we always say, the money, they say, money is the root of all evil. I say, every time we're on performing and we're at a show where we're, getting money from the audience afterwards to buy CDs and videos and books, we always say, the money, they say money is the root of all evil. Well, we're here to say the money is not the root of all evil. The lack of money is the root of all evil. And if we don't get paid tonight, you're going to see some evil twins.
Hilarious. So, Dwayne, what do you think about what we were just saying with Bret about the importance of diversification in order to build wealth? What's your thought on that?
You always hear the word that's been made famous as multiple streams of income. See, West Indies, now they've always had, hustling, we call that hustling. But the thing is, the West Indian have, that culture has shown us, or even the Mexican has shown us that you work many jobs to create your money, but that's working hard. See, people have got to understand that it's about working smart. Smart, where you create passive income, where you're making money in your sleep. So that happens through investing. It happens through owning your own business. And I always tell people, if you want to really, the best way to do is like whatever you do, whatever you wear, whatever perfume you buy, start buying stock in that company. Look, I own Facebook stock.
Yes.
I bought Facebook when it was $19.
Wow.
You know, it's it's $114 now a share.
Whoa.
Okay,
And you got it when it was $19?
$19. The first day it went public, I was on the radio. Different radio shows said, "Don't buy it because what's going to happen is going to shoot up. Wait for it to shoot down, to come down." And it shot up to about $36. You know, it came in at 19. It shot up to about $36, and it shot back down to 19. It shot down to about 17, but I called it at 19 and been owning it ever since. And then what you can do when you have a stock like that, you can do covered calls, which you sell options on it monthly. So you make an income on that. That's passive. You have, like I said, whatever stock that you love, they pay dividends every 3 months. You make money on that. So that's passive. You have the Forex, where if you don't want to trade yourself, you get someone who trades for you, like who has an auto trader where they're trading. Make sure they're good, and you make that type of money. And then there's many internet mechanisms and ways to make money. I'm sure everybody on this phone has a website. So even when you see me on Facebook, when I'm using Facebook, you know, I'll bring up wild stuff. You know, I'm just trying to get people's attention. I'm working on jokes. I'm creating, you know, throwing out wisdom. But my whole point is to be radical and to get people's attention. And then I'm always promoting something at some point. Because if you're not using your Facebook to make money, something's wrong with you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Facebook is, and when people unfriend me, I love it because guess what? I own stock in Facebook, so I don't care. I'm still making money off you, boo.
Hilarious. Funny. For people that want to know more about tell us about your program, the Wealth Portal.
Well, the Wealth Portal is just basically it's a system. It's a private club where I help people. We find businesses, passive income around the world that people can participate in. And think of this name: ad packs, advertising packages. That's where the biggest money on the internet is, and it's very passive. And how it works is just like if you were getting paid. When every time somebody runs an ad on Facebook, that they pay Facebook and you watch it and you got paid for that. See, Facebook and Google are making all the money and not giving you anything. But with advertising packages, these underground folk around the world have created something where we do our own advertising and we get 2% on it daily. So that's one thing that we have. We have the Forex in there. We have how to sell on eBay, even how to make money passively on eBay. We have all kinds of things that people can do. So what the Wealth Portal is, it's a system that helps people and shows people how to create passive income. So while whatever they're doing, they're working 9 to 5, they're doing whatever they're doing, they're making money. They're making money and they're building their wealth on a daily basis.
I like it.
Yeah, awesome.
The Wealth Portal. So that's wealthportalinc.com. The wealthportalinc.com. But like I said, first thing is buy some stock. You know, I know how many of y'all smoke weed on this panel. How many of y'all smoke weed?
That would be a negative.
And you don't own no hemp? You don't own no hemp stock?
Wow.
No
hemp stock?
No hemp stock.
I think even though I don't smoke, I need to get some hemp stock.
You know what I'm saying?
I do too. I need to invest. I need to do that. Okay.
Because you're around enough people that smoke it, so you may go on some stock.
Hemp parade.
So we got to understand how to think. It's like, for example, what happens when you, like right now, you know, you got all this, you know, violence going on, police killing folk, and now folks starting to kill police, and you got all this going on. Now, think about what happens in the market when that happens. What goes up? People start buying guns.
Yes, very true.
That means ammunition and military stuff starts going up, and then they start getting into survival stuff, getting tents and getting all this stuff, supplies. So all those types of stores and stock go up. Okay, and you know what really goes up? Fast food restaurants. Folks are stressed out. Okay, so you look at what's happening, the temperament of the of people, and you understand what stocks are going up and what's going down. So you know, pharmaceutical is going up, pharmaceutical drugs going up because people are stressed out, and hemp is off the charts. right now.
Oh yeah.
Brett might be a new business venture for you. Yeah.
I'm not talking about it on the air.
He just taking notes. He's taking notes.
We're gonna have to wrap up, Dwayne. We'll definitely have you back again, but tell people where they can find you.
Well, they can find me, of course, at thewealthportalinc.com, thewealthportalinc.com. You can find me on Facebook, Dwayne Mooney, D-W-A-Y-N-E, Mooney, M-O-O-N-E-Y. And you can also find me at my email address, mooneysuccess@yahoo.com, mooneysuccess@yahoo.com. And my Twitter is 4X Mooney, 4X Mooney, 4X Mooney, F-O-R-E-X Mooney, 4X Mooney.
All right. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we look forward to talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Again
Yes,
soon.
thank you.
Thank you.
Peace and prosperity, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any last words? Last word.
That was a lot.
What advice can you give to listeners out
No,
here?
just to piggyback on what Dwayne said, a lot of what he said was correct, but a lot of times I think we have we hear the advice and then we want to go do it ourselves when it's a lot more complex than just, hey, let's go on a website and let's pick some funds to put money into. There are a lot of different tools that help you do that nowadays, but I always caution people to do it yourself. It's kind of like going to, getting a cavity and deciding to go to your garage and drill in the back of your mouth, opposed to actually going to a dentist.
Yeah.
So, it's like trying to lose weight without a personal trainer, right? There's reasons why people have those jobs. So I always say seek an expert. A qualified expert before you start, talking about investing. You may not even have the money to invest, and you're like, hey, I'm investing. You should have about 6 months, depending on, where you're at, about 6 months of your expenses saved up before you even think about investing, depending on what your goals are. So that's just make sure you always, meet with an expert or find an expert that is in that industry.
Excellent advice.
Great advice.
May I? In regards to success, just a couple tools that I use that have worked wonders for me. First, it's a YouTube video. Check it out. It's by Earl Nightingale. It's called The Strangest Secret. So
The
it gives
Strangest Secret?
The Strangest Secret.
Okay.
And listen to the oldest recording, which is actually Earl himself talking. Gives incredible direction into the mindset which Mr. Mooney spoke on in regards to generating wealth into your life and attracting wealth into your life just simply by changing your thoughts. Most people spend so much time thinking and dwelling on what they don't want, as opposed to thinking about what you do want. Think about what you want more so, and that's what you'll attract to you. And that goes across the board. Health, fitness, wealth, the whole. Change your mindset and change your life. Most definitely.
Exactly.
Yes.
Any last words from you guys?
This has been a great show. Thank you guys.
Yes.
for
Yeah,
sitting
thank you
here.
guys.
Thank you.
I just
It's been
want to say,
amazing.
seriously, these two right here are the embodiment of representatives, role models of what this show is about.
Thank you.
I don't know Brett. I do know Venus. I can sense already how positive his energy is, how calm he is. None of us are perfect. I know you're not. I know you're not.
No one's
I'm not.
perfect.
Yeah, no one's perfect. But you have the mind, the body, and the soul. You started a foundation to
Absolutely.
help kids, all of it. Yeah, and I commend you.
Thank you so
much
much.
for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously, and same
Thank you.
with you, Vinny.
Thank you guys.
You too.
Yes, thank you.
All right, you guys, tune in next week to Let's Be Whole. Thank you for watching Mind, Body, and Soul.
Spend my life with you. Beautiful love that we share will be so strong. The way you soothe me, the way you move me, you're a healer.